Oh, I got to be getting hockey mode here. I got to be getting the little hockey section of my room. So the last time we talked was last Monday, right before they played Colorado at home.
Correct.
And I remember we were talking and we said, oh my God, Colorado's going to kill them. Stanley Cup champions. Come on. They're going to destroy them. Well, that didn't happen. The Penguins beat them in overtime 2-1. Letang scored the game-winning goal in overtime after they killed a penalty in overtime, which is darn near impossible for them. Thoughts on the Colorado game?
Yeah. Heinen wasn't playing. I was really pissed. One thing I noted is that we had no shots on goal in the first 11 minutes and 20 seconds of the game, and that's embarrassing. Like, I don't find this team has a sense of urgency or motivation. They don't play motivated hockey. It's not fun. It's not connected, but we do have some good moments. And I think if we can learn to expand these good moments, we'd have a better team, especially with Casey playing as well as he's playing. Sure, okay, LA was a throwaway game, but I knew going in. We'll cover that when we get to that game. But Casey's been unreal, and I'm so happy he's shutting up a lot of Pens fans with them complaining about him, because he's been really good in the net for us. With regards to the Colorado game, I mean, Casey was not as sharp, and he got lucky a few times, but he built from that game. I still find that we're sloppy and disconnected. I'm seeing Sidney cherry picking hard. I don't like that. I get it. You want to score goals, but he's a phenomenal hockey player. I'd like to watch him, in his element, not in the cherry picking. I don't like it. It's a bad look. I don't like it, but whatever. You made a comment to me when we were talking about how it's like watching boys play men, because Colorado was just dominating. They were dominating. Yes. Even the announcers have said during the game, if I remember correctly, this is the best Colorado's played all year, right? And they were good. They looked great. Like I said, we're sloppy, still very sloppy. I don't see any chemistry. Do you? Do you see any chemistry on this team?
I do not.
Like none.
I do not. Nope.
We were owned. My notes are we were owned to OT. No Heinen pissed. I want to switch Carter and Bluger. I think Bluger gives more to the game than Carter does. But at Carter, I don't know, 76-year-old Carter needs to stay on the third line. I'm just happy he's at center because it's very important, in my opinion. But the one thing that really bothered me is the Pens celebrated this win like they won the Stanley Cup. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did.
You are not at the TV. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, you barely won this game. It's not one to be proud of.
I've heard that a lot. I heard it as like really, you're celebrating that hard over a regular season game in February? What are we doing?
Yeah, it was like, if they're that far away from believing in themselves that they have to celebrate that hard for a win on game 52. Sure, it was in an overtime. Sure, it was Letang and everything that's going on with him. But tone it. I sound like such a hater. Like, I like seeing people celebrate. I didn't like this. I think it was over the top. And I think that their mentality overall is lost. Like, it's lost. But I mean, as for errors, we had 30 in this game. 12 turnovers and 18 missed shots.
Goodness.
Yeah. Rust having 5 errors total in the game. His one goal doesn't really cancel out 5 errors, in my opinion. Zucker, Petrie, and Letang were all tied with 3 errors. Again, nothing that I would be, 3 in one game. It's high, like Doolin. Oh, wait. Sorry, 4 errors. Zucker, Petrie, and Letang had 4 errors. Like, I know Letang had a goal as well, an important goal, but I mean, these errors, you got to tighten up the game if they want to find more success and be more in control of the game. They need to clean that up. So yes, we won, but I put it as a barely. But it is nice to see them win in overtime.
Yeah, especially after I believe there was a penalty in overtime, and apparently
Yeah.
4-on-3 is like a death sentence. You're guaranteed to lose
Yeah,
if you
Gino went to the
get a
box for tripping, so I was just like, "Oh, game over."
game over. Yeah, basically, and they killed that, and yeah, so, but yeah, this was a game that basically the Smith put on his back, and he
Yeah, we
is
were outshot 29-16 in the second period.
yeah,
Like,
just the second period. Oh my God. What did he have? 41 saves altogether or something like that?
I don't have that noted, but I did note that Sullivan was playing around with the lines a little bit throughout the game. He did a Zucker Carter Rust shift. He did Sidney Carter Letang shift, but Jake came on for Carter. I don't know if he was doing that or if that's just how they worked out because of like stoppages of play or whatever.
Yeah.
But I want to see more of that. Like, I know I've been talking about this all season and we're running out of time, but mixing things up a little bit keeps things less stale. These are all professional hockey players. They can do this. It's not going to be like, well, it takes, it's not going to, of course, it's not going to happen overnight. But if there's something special in that threesome, or pairing, you'll see it instantly. You'll see it right away.
Yeah. Mix it up. This was also the game where Jeff Carter, guess you could call it a cheap shot. Pretty.
I
You don't
actually
think
seen
that
a
was a cheap
different
shot?
angle of it.
Okay.
I should have sent it to you. My apologies. I saw an angle because we were seeing most of the angles we saw were from behind, but
Yeah.
I got I'll send it to you. I'll take too long to find it. I saw the opposite view, and Carter was looking at the puck, and Maker was Maker, right?
I think it's McCarr, maybe. I don't know.
Whatever, Makar. Anyways, he wasn't looking. Like, he turned around and ran into him. It wasn't dirty at all. I watched it 100 times because I was with you. I'm like, ew, Carter, like, that's gross. But when you see it from the different angle, neither player was paying attention. Neither player was looking at each other. Kale had his head down. He turned around without looking, and Carter was coming, chasing and following the puck. It wasn't dirty. That's why there was no call on the play. That's why there was no Department of Player Safety looking into it, because it was not dirty. It was literally an accident. It was an accident. It was not dirty. I'll send you the clip.
Okay. I guess you could call it a funny thing is, a lot of Avalanche fans were upset. A lot of Penguin fans were upset too, saying Carter should be suspended for the rest of the season. This is horrible. And maybe for next season, for the rest of his contract.
Games. Yeah.
Okay, funny. I never saw that before. I never saw somebody's own fan base calling for their own player to be suspended. But okay,
we did it with Rafi Torres in San Jose.
Okay. I remember that. Oof. So, okay, so they win. That was at home. Then they start the West Coast trip, and Friday night in Anaheim, they play the Ducks, and they win 6-3. And this was like this was the opposite. When they played Colorado, they were the boys and Colorado was the men, and here the Penguins were the men and Anaheim was the boys. It's like Anaheim totally gave up. It's like they were it's like when you play a video game on beginner level or something like that. It's like super easy difficulty. It was kind of a joke of a game.
Yeah, I found it boring personally. I thought it was dull. It wasn't exciting. I mean, Anaheim was in 30th place at the time. I mean,
yeah. They've just given up. It's just Like there's really nothing you could say about the game. It doesn't matter who did what because it's like the other team. I'm not saying they weren't trying, but it's like it
However,
was just
they did come back. To be
yeah,
fair,
they did.
Jake scored 8 minutes into the third period, and that made it 6-1. And that stopped. That was the end of Penn scoring. The Ducks had 2 goals unanswered after that. So what I see in that is the Penguins. And I mean, if the Ducks had more time, who knew? Because they were building, and the Pens were like, we got this. I can't stress enough how crucial it is to play from buzzer to buzzer or whatever, because you can give up a game, and we've done this plenty of times, given up leads.
Yes.
And I was starting to feel that.
Yes.
I had that feeling coming back. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing, Pittsburgh? Again, I was just bored. All my notes here are bored, too easy.
Yeah. It was just it was a joke.
I did note that Sydney's being a little more feisty lately, and I like that. And Casey needs to work on his glove side, because that's predominantly where most his errors or most his soft goals are coming in. I don't know where he's sometimes when that happens, what he's looking at, but I think both of those goals were bad.
Was this the game where somebody shot it after the whistle and Crosby
that was Kings? That was the next game.
Oh, there was no, I think it was.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The
and
Kings.
Trevor Zegras.
Yeah. And like, okay, is that like some unwritten rule or something like that? You can't take a shot after the whistle blows.
It's in poor taste, but I've seen almost every player do it. I've seen Penguins do it. So
so what? Like I don't know, dude, chill. Like what? Why? yeah.
This is the thing. You start letting people know what irritates you, they're gonna do it more, because it breaks down your mental focus. Don't let things bother you. Put your refocus that energy into scoring goals and building team mentality, because it's just wasted energy, in my opinion. And it's like, yeah, no bueno.
Well, how were turnovers and missed shots in this game?
We had 26 errors in this game, 9 turnovers, which is about on par, right? And 17 missed shots. I've got 3 players tied for first with 4 mistakes: Sydney, Raquel, and Gensel. So the top line has 12 mistakes. I can tell you that the second line, when Raquel played with Gino and Zucker, they never got that many together. I'm just pointing that out. And tied for second, we have Gino and Petrie with 3 errors apiece. I don't like it. I think it's really important that we tighten up our game. And I have noticed some players have improved, like Gino and Sydney. They have tightened up their game with regards to errors a little bit. They're not always first anymore. They're sometimes second, third, or not even included. So that is something I've noticed, which I like, as well as Dumoulin, Kapanen. They're not getting many errors, as many as they were. So they're doing better, which is good.
Okay. So DeSmith started the game against Anaheim. That was Friday night.
Yeah.
He started against Friday night. The very next night, Saturday, against the Kings, DeSmith starts again.
Yeah, I would have I would have done Tokarski against Anaheim and played Casey against the Kings. But either way, Sullivan's going to burn him out. He's going to burn him out. We're going to burn. I mean, Casey's been playing better, but if a Saturday's game was any, inkling to what could happen, like, you're going to burn him out. And then if Jari's not up to speed, then we're in a lot of trouble. So, yeah. My notes are screaming at Sullivan this time.
What? That's just, that just, It's just mind blowing. Like, what are you doing to the guy? This is the backup that's not used to playing, and now he has to play every game. And you put him in a back to back. You would never even do that to Jari, let alone your backup. What the heck? You basically conceded the game before it even started. And then Casey starts bad and he pulls him immediately and puts in Tokarski. Why did it start Tokarski to begin with?
To be fair, both goalies led in 3 goals apiece. One thing I've noticed with Sullivan since the beginning of his time with Pittsburgh up until now, he used to be more warm and open to, bending a little bit. Now I've noticed he's become very stubborn with change. And what's going to end up happening is we're not going to win. We're not going to make the playoffs, or we're going to end up hurting our goaltender for the exact same reason, that exact reason of playing too long. Like my notes are literally yelling at Sullivan.
Stubborn to change that's basically Sullivan in a nutshell. And
he even said that the team was proud of the team. They worked hard or something after that game. And I'm like, what? Don't pacify the players. They're crap. Tell them they're crap.
That you lost 6-0. There's nothing good about that game. The only thing that's annoying is I believe this was LA's first game after I think in 10 days or something. Yeah. So
but you watch the game. LA's a better team. They're more connected. Plus, too, they're flying high after Dustin Brown's. Sorry.
You threw up in your mouth there. They had a ceremony.
They had that ceremony, so they're pumped. Like stuff like that gets them going. I hate LA so much. You
messaged me and said, tell me when it's over, and when they actually start playing hockey, I'm like, okay, I think it's over. And it was still another 10 minutes. You're like, what are you doing? You had one job.
Oh my God, the game didn't start till 10 after 11, and I'm just like, I'm usually asleep by now.
Yeah.
I was impressed with, I'm gonna say his name wrong, LA Kings Kemp. He scored 4 goals on the night.
Yeah.
He was playing hot. Player to watch for sure. And then we have to talk about Sydney's first ever career misconduct, misconduct.
Yeah.
Two, for being mouthy.
So
are we getting rookie season Sydney vibes in any of that?
I'm basically what I hear is it's not Sydney's fault. It's that referee. The referee sucks, and they had it in for Crosby or the Penguins.
Okay, the first one is questionable. The second one was deserved. When you're told to leave the ice, you do just that. You don't skate around chasing the ref, asking for questions. Ask him after the game. What you're doing is, again, showing weakness, that you're easily agitated, and what it takes to get into your mind to break you. Stop telling on yourself.
This is
the first one is for him, his mouth as well. From what I spoke to a ref, and they broke it down for me. Actually, I should have wrote down those notes. I'm sorry, I should have, but he broke it down, and he said that he was being mouthy, and I'm like, no chirping in hockey. Like, I was still a little like, what do you mean? What do you mean? But yeah, the second one was definitely deserved. He needs to learn. He's got to be a little bit more respectful, even if you don't like the ref. Yeah,
it's just a bad look. Is that really what you want to do, is piss off a ref who's just going to
hurt you again?
Yeah.
Next time you play with them,
maybe
it's Sydney. I've noticed Sydney's played a lot of angry hockey this year. I don't know. I haven't been watching many of his interviews. Well, much at all, but the ones I come across on Twitter, I seen one where he went off about something about not being able to say what he wants to say. I think there's a little bit more meaning to that, but something's going on there, and I can feel it. I see it, and I hate it, and I hope it can get resolved, whatever he's going through.
Apparently, I mean, he got kicked out of the game, but he still stuck around because he wanted to talk to reporters just to say how mad, how upset he was. And all he said was, well, I can't say anything. Like, okay, well, then what do we do?
That's why I think there's more to it. I think there's
definitely
more to it. I think that I shouldn't be talking about this. Can we move on to errors?
Moving on to errors.
Okay, so we had 23 errors. So this was the lowest of the 4 games we're covering. No, it's not. The second lowest. We had 3 turnovers in the whole game. But we barely had the puck, so.
I know, I was going to say.
And one
Hard to have a turnover when you're not near the puck.
20 missed shots, though. Petrie with 5 total errors in first. He gets the goal tonight for that night. 1 turnover, 4 missed shots. Second, we have Gensel with 4 missed shots and Rust with 3 missed shots. Boys, work on shooting accuracy under extreme pressure. Have people around you. Get on the ice. Do I need to like literally send practice drills to fix this? Like, come on. I'm so sick of seeing this. Don't rush off the shot. If you don't have a shot, pass it back, pass it over, bank it along and let it go to someone else. Like, clean it up, because what's happening is if the other team gets it and brings it down the ice, we got to learn how to control the puck better as a group.
Yeah,
it's hard watching this as a coach, because you're just like, how long have you boys been playing? Like, you know,
that's
these
a thing. This should be a veteran team that knows each other so well.
Yeah, they should be like,
this should not be happening.
It's really, something's off. I mean, like my last note on this game is we are in trouble. Yeah.
Then, so that was Saturday. Then on to Tuesday at San Jose.
On Valentine's Day.
And everybody should write a Valentine's card to Casey DeSmith, because he
was basically lights out. He let 1 goal in out of 39 shots. Like,
yeah,
phenomenal. That was Casey's game for sure.
It seemed like also in this game, this was basically the first line was really good.
But the second line was really good with Raquel on it. So what's the problem here? Do we only have 1 good line? Or yes. I think it's easy. I think Raquel should be back with Zucker and Gino, because they had so many good games together. And we find a player that works with Sydney better. And you want to know what I'll tell you? I say demote Rust to the 3rd line, and still a little bit of fear in him that you can't be this comfortable, because Rust has been great. But Gensel has performed more, so he's not the one to bounce down and play with anyone. You know, who cares? Bring up Kapanen. Kapanen's been a hardworking player, limited mistakes. Sure, he's not getting the points, but maybe he's not the point maker. You know, maybe he could be setting up Sydney and Gensel. We don't know, because we don't see it. But
Just try it for a little bit.
I would love to see it against a game. I say a team that's not very good, but we're a team that's not very good. So basically any team. In fact, I'd play a harder team, because that might motivate the player to play harder, because you're playing a better team. When I competed and I was up against someone that was better than me, I worked harder. They motivated me to work harder.
Yeah.
So I got through this game. It's the first Penn Sharks game I've watched since Game 7 back in 2016. 16, yeah, and it was hard, and I did it sober. And it was hard because, you know, I'm still have reservations over that game in San Jose. Story for another day. But I had a lot to say about this game, Joe. The Gino Rust Zucker line is dead. It's dead.
Not a good game. Not a good
We were losing 100% to 0 in the first 11 minutes of the first period on face-offs.
Yeah.
I know we won this game technically 3-1, but the empty netter, I really don't count those. So 2-1. That's ugly. Like, I don't know why this team doesn't put any importance on face-offs. Why do you want to chase the puck? And I mean, like, it's frustrating to me because this is one of the most important parts.
It should be about possession, and you get possession by getting the puck first and controlling it.
Maintain possession rather than having to chase. Another thing that really bothers me, I don't know if you noticed, blind passes make me crazy because there's no solid chemistry on this team, and those blind passes 90% of the time are turned over.
It's a disaster. It's a disaster.
You need to have connection. You need to have that fluidity with your line to be able to pass without looking. Without that chemistry, you are just basically handing the puck over to the other team.
And they do.
And they lead to way too many turnovers. Like I said, about 90%, maybe higher. My math isn't very good because I did it in my head. So I'm just kind of averaging.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed, and you can attest to this, is Sidney's lack of confidence. Consistent confidence. He has streaks. Like, he had one breakaway shot. Like, I saw the power in it. He had that one pass last night that was beautiful. Like, you got an of old Sidney. But like, it just feels like he's not the same player he used to be, in the sense that he is dealing with some confidence issues. We see it on the dot. We see it. You know, he's not breaking 50. I mean, 46 in that game. He was 68 against LA, which is probably because he was kicked out. Didn't get to play, but he's averaging around 50%. And, you know, for one of the best players to ever lace up a pair, do better. Bluger. Notice anything about Bluger in that game?
Nope.
He needs to learn how to control the puck better. He made a sloppy play in front of Arundel, and had he had better control of the puck, he would have had a goal there. He seems very flighty. Like, it was a real, like, I don't know, bantam aged hockey move. And I've been noticing with Bluger that his attention to detail on the puck, his control is a little off. And that's not just shooting. That's like, excuse me, and like holding the puck, moving the puck. It's just, I don't know. It was really, really weak, that, and it was just the one time. But yeah, another thing, tablets.
You know, actually, there was actually an article about tablets, and the players were asked about tablets and the pros and cons and who uses them the most. You know who uses the tablets the most? Letang.
Yeah.
Letang is a big tablet person. Crosby, he said it depends. Some nights, not a lot. It's probably better when you're looking at it a lot, to be honest. And it just depends on the game when you use it. When it was first
Every
there,
game I see his head down. Well, there's something going on. They pass and he's looking down. Whether I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It takes your head out of the game. It's so important to keep your head in the game, because you could miss a play that might motivate you when you're on the next shift to do something about it. Like, there's a dialogue going on throughout a whole hockey game, right? And if your head's down, you're missing it. You're missing it's like watching a movie and you're texting someone at the same time, right? You're not paying attention to the movie, and then you're done your text and you look up and you're like, oh, how do we get there? Same thing in hockey. Tablets, well, I hate them. They wouldn't be on my bench. If you want to study video review during intermissions or after the game with our video coach, like, I'm not having that. I think it's so stupid.
Let the coaches use it. Let the coaches use it, and then show what's going on. Pay attention to the game. One example they use in the article is, hey, you're out there and the other team, their defensemen have been out there a long time, so maybe you could take advantage of that. If your head is on the thing, you're not going to notice that.
That's what I mean. Like, there's still things going on, and you take your head out of the game, you've missed something that you could motivate you or take advantage of when you get on the ice. You gotta stay. The whole idea, the whole concept of keep your head up in hockey, now it also applies on the bench. Who knew?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, San Jose is in 28th place. This wasn't a big win. I would have been happy with like 7-1 Pittsburgh. We should have dominated. The Sharks dominated us in so many areas.
This is a bad team, but this is a team that beat them at home a couple weeks ago. So progress? Not really.
No. Okay. I said we should have dominated them. We didn't. They dominated us, out shooting us, better on the dot, and more takeaways. They were taking the puck away from us more than we were them. I think it was like 12, not 6, or I can't remember. But it's here. Oh, I can't remember. Oh yeah, and going back to blind passes, 4 blind passes were turned into turnovers. I was trying to pay attention, keep track of that. I forgot to mention it. And it's the reason the Sharks dominated us is because they're more connected as a team. They're more in sync with each other. Sure, they're not as good. They're not, I mean, it's pretty close, but they played better. They dominated us because they have that more team dynamic, whereas we're just a bunch of, players coming out for tryouts and trying to like do everything ourselves kind of thing, or individually player rather than thinking, I don't know. I mean, that one pass by Sydney was beautiful, but I mean, unless we don't fix our chemistry and the connection, it's not good, Joe. It's not good.
It's just not there. This team as it is constructed right now, it's just not it.
If Casey wasn't as good as he was last night, we would have lost.
That's what bothers me is when they were winning, they were at one point it was 2-0, but it was also 2-1 in the third period. Instead of trying to protect the lead, they're still doing defenseman pinching and trying to be aggressive and score goals.
Yeah, Timo scores with 4 minutes left in the third. He could have very well tied it up if we did not get that empty net. And I mean, I don't really count empty net goals as in like the battle of the team, because you're just dumping it down the ice and hoping it goes in an open net, right? So the way I look at this game is we won 2-1. And we owe this win to Casey DeSmith.
The question is, yes, DeSmith has saved them
quite a few times.
He's saved them quite a few times. I mean, there have been games where he hasn't been good, but then he is what he is. He's not.
He's tired.
Yeah, probably.
It's a lot more stressful mentally and physically for a goalie, when you're up and down and splits and this and pushing around, like, you know what I mean? He's not stopping, whereas the players that for 30 seconds then they're off, right? Resting for a minute. And like his muscles are constantly contracted and he's constantly on through the whole game. Like he's tired, he's getting tired. And if this continues, he's going to burn out. And that's going to be Sullivan's fault, not Casey's. He's in a good place mentally and I'm loving it. And, now that Heinen's gone, he's my favorite player.
I'm hearing that Jari is close to coming back. Okay.
I just hope it's not premature.
They need him. He is their only hope. He is.
I don't know how you can say that after how well Casey's been playing.
Because Casey's not the guy. He's a good backup.
But he's been so good for us. And Jari coming back, he could be coming back injured, and the smallest thing could what's the word?
Aggravate
the injury, and he's out even longer. You know what? Between Jari and Casey, who's better right now? It's Casey, because he's not injured.
Exactly.
He's playing well. So I don't think it's fair to say that we're nothing without, or we're toast without Jari. I mean, we're in it right now because of DeSmith.
We're in it because of DeSmith. He has saved them, and you just hope you could get something out of Jari. My goodness. I heard something about a chronic hip issue. Like, dude, he's a free agent. His contract is up at this point.
He get run out twice in game 1 and game 2, and I knew it then and there. I'm like, because he got up kind of slowly, and I'm like, he's hurt. He's came into the season with an injury that's only been re-aggravated, and I'm glad that they've left him off this long, because we just need a playoff spot, right? But
yeah,
I don't,
Yeah,
it's so tight too. As for errors, we have only had 20 in the game. So that's our lowest of the 4. 8 turnovers, which is lower than our percentage, and 12 missed shots, which is 1 more than our percentage. But this is where I'm at. So Pettersson had 4. He leads with 4 errors, 1 turnover, 3 assists. He had no points on the night. Tied for second, we have Raquel and Bluger with three errors each. Both of them had 2 turnovers and 1 missed shot. Raquel gets a pass. He had 1 goal, 2 assists. He gets a pass. Bluger had no points. Remember I said Bluger needs to clean up his game? Here's an indication of that, and his lack of control in the puck. 2 turnovers, 1 missed shot. And then in third, we have Zucker, Sydney, and Rust, each with 2. And all but Sydney was the only one that had points, 3 assists. So his errors I could care less about. But Zucker and Rust, no points on the night. Too many errors against, it's so frustrating because I really like that second line. I thought it was beautiful. And what are we sacrificing to break? It's like we're a 1-line team, and it's not even the same line because it's basically wherever Raquel goes.
yeah. Whatever line Raquel is on, they're fine, and whatever line Rust is on, not so good. It's that simple.
I'm telling you, demote Rust. Rust isn't a bad hockey player. Okay, he can be really good when he wants to be. But sometimes players get comfortable. They get comfortable in that they feel safe where they're going to play. Yeah, no problem. I'm going to be on the first or second line. No problem. No. Demote him. Teach him a lesson. What's wrong with Sullivan? I'm getting fired up, Joe. Sullivan has lost his confidence maybe in himself or how the players are going to feel about him. I think this has got to stop being a feeling league or team. We need to get past the feelings if we want to win hockey games.
That's what we've been saying all year. They're complacent. They're comfortable. They just, when there's no consequences to your actions, then this is what happens. And
it's really bad. I'm going to just quickly, before we go on, cover our total errors in that 4 games.
Okay.
So we had 32 in 4 games, which isn't bad. But remember that one game we only had 3 turnovers because we didn't show up. We were there in body, right, but we were somewhere else. And oh shoot. We have 4 players with 4 turnovers. That being Petrie, Gino, and Raquel. Imagine how much better Raquel would be if he made less errors. Yeah. He's playing well.
Yeah.
And we have Zucker, Rust, with 3 turnovers, and then 2s and 1s down the line. But in 53 games played, we have 491 turnovers.
Wow.
Ugh. In those 4 games, we had a total of 99 errors. 4 games.
That's 9. That's over 9 a game.
This is based on my calculations again. I do go back to the app and I kind of fact check. And I remember one game they had 10 turnovers and I only had 9. And I didn't want to, I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to stick with my calculations. Moving on to missed shots, we had a total of 67. Gensel having the highest at 10.
In one game. Oh, it's in 4 games.
4 games, but
4
still,
okay.
but still. And then we have Petrie and Rust with 8 each. And after that would be Raquel with 6, Zucker, Pettersson, and Sydney with 5, Paling with 4. You know whose game looks good? Dumoulin had 2 in 4 games.
I think he's playing a lot better lately.
Yeah, because he knew his place was being questioned. That's what happens. We've seen it with Cap, and we like to be honest. I would. Rust needs to be demoted. Keep going back to that. Anyways, so in 53 games played, we've had 652 missed shots. that could been a lot of goals had we tightened up our game. But this is the number. This is the one that just I lose sleep over. In total errors in 53 games is 1,143.
Wow. That's 21.5 per game.
That's embarrassing.
That is bad.
And it's like, okay, you make an error or a mistake, but once you keep making it, it's not a mistake. It's a choice, not
It's a habit.
Yeah.
They're bad habits.
1,100, over 1,100 errors in 53 games is enough for me to shake everything up. I don't know what Sullivan's thinking. It's frustrating. And honestly, how many games left until 82? I might be done. Because I'm losing my mind. It's not worth it.
How many games left until the trade deadline is the question. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. 7 games. 8 games until the trade deadline, which is March 3rd. I hesitate to even talk about trade deadlines because, as we've discussed before, there's not much you could do when almost every good player or every player has no trade clauses. So there's not much you could do. But what do you think is if you were to try to make a trade, what do you think would be
who's available? Kapanen. Is Kapanen one? No.
Kapanen could be traded, yeah. But who would you trade for? What position do you think this team needs the most? Everyone says you gotta get a real third line center because Carter ain't it.
Carter's still one of our best face-off men. He's still better on the dot than every other player.
But in every other aspect of the game, he sucks.
So limit his time, put him out on important face-offs. You know what? 50% of this team is garbage, if I'm being honest. And it's players you don't want to hear me say, like McGinn, he's not doing much.
Get him out.
Paling, I'm not a fan. I'll be honest. Archibald, not a fan. But he was actually, Paling was scratched for O'Connor.
I think he was sick or hurt or something.
I'm not even a fan of Bluger anymore. Petrie isn't doing it for me. There's so many players. Like I said, 50% of this team is trash in my opinion, but they could be better with the right coaching. To say this about Sullivan, but you're not carrying your weight. You're not running your bench properly. You're not motivating and inspiring your team properly. And it's so painful to watch because we still have such great talent on this team. But they're not meshing. Something stinks in Pittsburgh.
There's something wrong.
So who would I trade for? Denmark. Anyone.
You would
I would take anyone. I mean, our defense is kind of our bottom line plays good one game, really good one game, and then they're crap. Like our bottom 6 was on fire for a few games back in, was it December, if I remember correctly, and our top 2 lines were duds. Like it's just, I want to go back. When we won the Stanley Cup, because we had 4 well-oiled lines.
Yep.
Everybody was working in synchronicity with the other line mates, and it was beautiful. It was magical. It made me think about the 90s Detroit teams, how beautifully they played together. Okay. Funny reference, because didn't you guys beat Detroit in 2009?
We did.
For the Cup? Yeah. See, I have some Penguins knowledge in there from before 2015. But yeah, I actually, because I was a big fan of the Wings in the 90s. They were beautiful. They were phenomenal to watch. Like I get all excited and hot and bothered thinking about it. But I saw that in our Pens. We need to do whatever we can do to have that. And I mean, like, there's at least 7 players on the team. I'd be like, bye. I'm really bothered by Heinen. He's one of the hardest working players on the ice. Barely any errors.
But Sullivan doesn't like him. He's in the
Sullivan
doghouse.
just got to get over that.
Yeah, he does.
It's not about what Sullivan likes. It's about what the team needs.
What has Brock McGinn done this year? He's barely done anything. And yet he gets playing every game.
Yeah, no, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't even be on this team. And I feel bad because I coached his brother or cousin or one of them. I forget. There's a lot of them years and years ago. So I have like a kinship towards him. But no, bye. I want to win. See ya.
Here are some of the, and I don't know how real this is, probably not, but here are some rumored players to be coming. A lot of them from St. Louis. I guess St. Louis is just thrown in the towel. Ivan Barbashev or Ryan O'Reilly for that third line center. Would you like either one of those?
No.
How about
I don't know enough. I don't have enough information. I would say no to O'Reilly. But then again, I like his physicality sometimes, but there's a little bit of past beef with him and Sydney. And I know they squashed it, but it's never squashed. These beefs run forever. I don't know. Who else?
I brought Brock Besser from Vancouver.
Yeah, I'd give him a try. I don't think he elevated his game in Vancouver. I think it was the wrong club for him, and I think he would be better on a different team. So yeah,
he could play on that first line. He could play on the first or second line, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
And then you could move Russ down to the third line and make the third line better.
Exactly. This is what we need to do. I gotta call Sullivan. Hold on. Hey. Hextall.
Hello.
He makes the deals, right?
Brian Burke, hello. We know you're doing. We know you're at least you're alive. We know Brian Burke's alive.
I have a bone to pick with Burke, and we'll cover it one of these days.
Another time, okay.
Yeah.
So, looking ahead, huge. This might be the game of the year so far. Friday, the 17th at the Islanders.
Oh, we're gonna lose.
Boy, you think that's a loss? I don't know.
Friday, the Islanders yeah, we're gonna lose.
And
then we're gonna lose Devils the next day. And then we're gonna beat the Islanders at home on Monday. Lose, win. Yeah, because we just have 3 wins out of 4 games, I think it is. So yeah, we're due. And I have no confidence in our lineup right now, or in the confidence of our star player, or the ability to, have a good top 6 producing.
Okay. Hey, Sullivan, if you're watching, sorry we've been trashing you today and basically every week since October, but still, could you please not have Casey DeSmith start 2 nights in a row this week? Could you please?
What team? Okay, if Jari's not back, what team do we start? Karski.
Okay, so
you know what? I would do him Friday night. I would see how he competes against an Islanders team, because we play them twice in 4 days, right?
The Devils are 7-1-2 in their last 10. I would say, you know what? We're going to lose that game. I would throw everything.
Not necessarily. But he lights out with a good goaltender.
I understand, but I'm saying that what game do you think they have the better chance of winning at the Islanders? I think they're going
to lose them all.
Okay, but which team which game do they have the better chance? I would say they have the better chance against the Islanders. Islanders at home. Okay. So I would start
been on a tear too, haven't they?
I would start DeSmith against the Islanders and Tokarski against the Devils.
Yeah, but you have 2 games against the Islanders.
Yeah, you just hope Jari comes back.
You want to and if he's healthy, what if he gets run at? Players pay attention to injuries. Goalies, they pay attention to it. Oops, I crashed. I lost an edge. This terrifies me.
It's part of the game, though. And you know what? If he can't handle that, then he can't.
No, I'm telling you. No, you misinterpreted, Joe. What I'm saying is players pay attention to other players' injuries. So when they come back, they're, they got a hardwire that this player is injured, and is there a way that I can re-injure the player without
So
it
they
looking
make it look like an
intentional?
accident.
And
Oops,
it's
I
so
ran
much
into
easier to do
you.
when it's goalie, because you can lose an edge, or you can be pushed, or you could trip, whatever. And that's the only thing that scares me, because it's well aware, everybody knows that Jari is hurt.
How funny is it that they do everything they can to hide the injuries? Or like upper body, lower body. They know.
Oh yeah,
They know.
100%. I just realized that the Devils are really up high in the standing, so I had a moment there. Why are they so good?
Devils aren't. I know. Why are they so good? I thought they were supposed to fade.
Okay, so you know what? Islanders are on a losing streak. They lost to Ottawa, they lost to Montreal, and they lost to Vancouver.
Lost 3 in a row. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10. So even though they just got what's his face,
Sometimes it takes some time to find it. It takes some time.
Yeah.
I should have looked at that before. Bill still lose.
Probably. They'll probably find it against the Penguins.
Yeah,
that's what
this is the best the Islanders have played all season.
Yeah, exactly. Everything will click magically when they play the Penguins.
And you know what's frustrating, Joe? I think about this. Like, we have these podcasts and we talk, like, we're both very passionately involved in this team, right? Connected to this team. And we've done so much complaining. And I'm trying to, in my notes, find the good things so we can, kind of elevate those good things. But at this point in the season, we're in trouble.
There aren't good things. That's the thing. Even when they win, it's not that impressive.
I remember Sydney had a hit last night, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, the captain standing up and showing what needs to be done." He should have been always doing this.
Right.
Like, I can't, and you know this, I can't stand Pittsburgh sports media, and it's funny because I'm in Toronto, and Toronto's like the worst market for media, the worst. I will not deny that, but it's so hard for me because I'm like, why do you guys hang off? I can't do it. I have 90% of the time I have the games muted and I'm listening to music because I can't even listen to the nonsense. And no disrespect to, is it Steve Mears?
Steve Mears, and there's Josh Gestoff, depending on if it's a TV
I
or
no
radio.
Disrespect to them, but they're terrible.
I like them a little, but
of course you do, because you're gonna it's your hometown. But I think of the greats, Mike Lang, he's a great.
Mike Lang is. Oh, I miss him.
Learn from the greats. Get some life in there. It's just. Ugh.
I miss Emmerich. I liked him.
Yeah, Doc Emmerich was good, but then there's other ones. The guy that was in Buffalo, was it La Fontaine? I forget his name.
Yeah.
The one in Toronto, and it's blanking, and I know him personally, and it's Joe Bowen. Another one, life in it. There was more electric. I had someone reach out to me on Twitter recently who announces for a junior A team somewhere in Canada, I forget, and he's like, "Oh, I love this. You're really involved in hockey. Da 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 da. Would you be maybe able to give me some pointers on how to make my broadcasting game better?" Which I was pretty flattered. He came to me. But I was like, I need to listen to you. I can't really anyway. So I actually listened to a live link of him announcing for one day, for one period, and broke it all down. And the things I was saying, I was like, look at the greats, look at the pizzazz they have, and this, that, and the other. And it would help me be more interested in the game, I guess. I don't know. Put some life in it. Tell a story.
Yeah. That's, don't just say really, so-and-so passes to so-and-so, tell a story. Exactly. Yeah.
But in any event, this team needs to, I've been saying it all season, and it's too late to do it now, but I still do it anyways. Play with the lines until you find 4 that work. You've got the pieces, you're just not using them right. Period.
If they make some trades, then
but you don't even know if the trades are going to work out.
They could be a disaster. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
I mean,
but at least it would force Sullivan to not play the same freaking players all the time.
Oh, okay, I'm with you on that.
At least it would.
I'm with you on that. That's a great idea.
At least it would force him to think for once.
Yeah, he's gotten comfortable, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's gotten comfortable. Hextall Hextall's real comfortable because
Hextall needs to go. Launch him to the moon or Mars. Where are we redeveloping? Where's Elon developing on Mars?
either
Hi.
the moon, yeah.
Yeah. That was probably one of the biggest mistakes the Pens made in the last 3 years.
I'm just surprised when the new owner came in and they said, "Oh, yeah, we'll stick with you." Like, okay.
What's your plan? It's in here.
It's in my head.
Yeah, to lose,
What is
right?
that?
I don't know. But if I heard that as an owner, I'd be like, so we're gonna have to find someone else, right? Yeah. I don't know. There's no confidence anywhere in this organization.
I'm gonna say this was a great episode and we kick butt. We are a well-oiled machine.
We are. They should take cues from us.
Seriously, we have perfect chemistry. We feed each other
and even
perfectly.
When we don't agree on something, we don't get mad at each other. We're like, yeah, I hear your point. This is my point. Let's move on.
Moving on. Yeah. Be
seminar.
like us. Be like us, Penguins. Have the chemistry that we have.
That should be the caption in your.
Yes, be like us.
No more. Oh boy.
All right. So I'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Ciao.